Welcome to this afternoon's training session, which is Blogging for Business, your quick guide. And for the next 45 minutes or so, I'm going to be talking through blogging for business. Who am I? My name is Andrew Knowles. I have been freelance. I went freelance as a copywriter about 12 years ago after a background in various things, finance and IT. But also always writing, which is what took me into freelance copywriting, and then I got into social media, and I've also had many years of work in training. So I now spend a lot of time training small business owners in how to use social media and some of the other digital tools that are out there. So today we're talking particularly about blogging. You find me on social media, typically on Twitter and Instagram as Andrew Explainer. I use the hashtag Andrew Explains as well. And why do I do this? Why do I run free training sessions? Well, I'm a big fan of small businesses. As I said, I went freelance 12 years ago. I discovered at that point, really, the world of small businesses. I hadn't really been aware of it up until then, surprisingly. And I've become a real fan of small businesses, want to support small businesses. And I know that not every small business, many of which are run solely by the owner, not a lot of them have a great budget, and so I want to do some training work which is free of charge, which people can access and which is useful. I've been to lots of free of charge webinars and training events, which are mainly sales pitches, to be honest, whereas I'm hoping that, I'm intending that these sessions are very much informational with minimal sales pitching. So let's get on with today's session, which is all about blogging for business. And if you've got a question, well, Tammy, it's just you. So you're welcome to dip in and ask it at this point. That's not a problem. So starting by what is a blog? And really before what is a blog, a good place to start is why blog? What are the benefits of blogging for a small business? There are lots of positives, and blogging is, I would say, and I'm not alone in this, undervalued and underrated. You talk about blogging with some businesses and it's sort of, well, isn't that something that people used to do back in the early days of the internet? And for some marketers particularly, the shine has gone off blogging. It's a bit old now. It's not a new shiny thing. But there's still a lot of value in blogging. So let's just go through some of the benefits. It brings long-term results. Now, implicit in that is the fact that it takes time to get long-term results. So blogging is not a quick win strategy. If you're going to make blogging part of your marketing process, then it's not something that's going to bring in quick results. There are other ways of getting quicker results. But blogging is a long-term strategy. So if you're looking to run a business which has got years of mileage in it, and you want to build up a position of being trusted and being credible and a good position rating wise with the search engines, then blogging is an excellent strategy for that. Blogging is very powerful because it brings people to your website, and we'll talk more about that as we go through, but that's really one of the main benefits, not the only benefit, one of the main benefits of blogging. It brings people to your website. Appearing high up in website searches and Google searches, other search engines are available, of course, is obviously important for a lot of businesses for their marketing strategy. And so blogging can help with that. It also helps to build credibility, authority, and trust. People typically want to buy stuff from businesses that they can put their faith in. Particularly these days, people are often looking to buy from local businesses, from small businesses, not everybody. You might want to go on, you might need something in a hurry and you dip onto Amazon, you just buy the thing as cheaply as you can, and you really couldn't care less about who you're buying from it. What's more important is the price and the fact that it'll be delivered tomorrow. And that's fine. But that's not the way that people buy a lot of the time. A lot of the time people are buying because they want to invest a bit more time in understanding who they're buying from. And obviously the more money you're spending, that's also important as well. And the type of work, if you're buying a service from somebody rather than a product, a physical product, then again, trust is really important in that, and credibility. So blogging helps to establish that because you're talking about your subject. Blogging is also great because it provides content for social media. Now, lots of businesses are using social media to build visibility. And one of the things that I often hear is What can we talk about on social media? What's going to be of interest to people? And well, if you're writing blogs, the act of blogging helps to stimulate ideas. It's a great way of blogging is to look at the questions people are asking you. And of course, you can then take the content you're putting out there as a blog, and you can use some of that on your social media. It's food for the social media machine. It helps with link building. What do I mean by link building? Link building is where other people connect to your website. So you publish a really great article, a guide to something or a how-to, and it's so well done that other people say, that's good, and I'm going to link to it from my website. And that happens a lot. Or link to it from social media or share it on social media. And all of that linking and sharing, the search engines pick up on that. And so it helps, again, build the visibility of your website. And as I've already implied, I think as I've gone through this, it helps you to be more creative. I know that I find this, the very act of sitting down and writing a blog post stimulates ideas for other blog posts. It stimulates ideas for social media posts. It stimulates ideas for how I can improve my own business. There is a value, there's a creative value simply in sitting down and writing about the things that are relevant to your customers. There's lots of good reasons for blogging, lots of positive benefits to business. Now, what is a blog? So we talked about the benefits of blogging, but what actually is a blog? Well, there's various definitions. The way that I tend to describe it is a blog is a series of articles. It's a series of articles typically on your website. I recommend that you put it on your website. And they're around a theme, so they're going to be relating to your business. There might be a mix of things. It might be news articles about your business, but the majority of the blog posts should not be about your business per se. They should be about the things that are relevant to your customers, because to be honest, your customers don't really want to read about the awards that you've won, the new people you've hired, the new products you're selling, that sort of thing. What they want to know is how you can help them, how you can solve their problem. So that's what a blog is. It's a series of articles, and it's created in line with the strategy. So yes, you can just sit there and blog pretty much at random, and every week or month or sit there and think, oh, what am I going to post about today? And that's better than nothing, but it's a way forward that's better than that is to have a strategy and think, well, what am I going to be blogging around? What particular themes and subjects am I going to be blogging about? And have a plan going forward into the future. And also, as part of the strategy, think about how the blog fits in with how people are actually going to buy from you. Because, so let's say you've written a wonderful how-to post about a certain subject, and somebody out there has got a problem when they're typing into Google, how do I do this? How do I solve this problem? And your article comes up on the first page of Google, and they read your article and they think, wow, that's really useful. What you don't want them to do is then close your web page and go away and do something and forget about you. What you really want them to do is to engage in some way with your business, maybe to sign up for something, or to read other posts, or even to buy something from you. So it's really important as part of your strategy to think, what's the action you want people to take next once they've read your blog post? Another important aspect of a blog post is it should be hosted on your website. Sometimes people ask me, should I have a separate blog for my posts and separate from my website? Well, if one of the primary purposes of a blog is to draw people to your website, then your blog really should be sitting on your website. It's helping to promote your domain name, improve the ranking of your particular website on Google. So you want your blog to be on your website. Now, it may be that you don't have a website. There are some businesses, maybe you're selling in one of the online marketplaces like Etsy or eBay or something like that, and you have a page on there, but you don't have a website that you have control over. You can't necessarily blog. I don't think you can blog on Etsy or eBay. So should I have a blog? Well, yes, there's still a value in having a blog, but it's going to be separate from your marketplace. But what you want to be doing, obviously, is building that credibility and trust, and then directing people to the marketplace to be buying things. It's not ideal, but if the marketplace is serving a purpose for you, then your blog is going to have to be somewhere else. Lots of small businesses don't take advantage of blogging right now. And lots of small businesses have a go at it, they try it, and if you look at their websites, they may have 2 or 3 blog posts, they may be a few years old. The search engines love fresh content. The search engines love websites which have been kept up to date. Blogging is a great way of keeping your site up to date. And as I said, it's useful for building credibility and trust. Someone comes to your website and they're looking around and you've got 2 or 3 pages like saying, this is what we do and this is who we are and this is how you can contact us. They've run out of information to research at that point. By having a blog, you've added much more information to the site to help people stay on there, because a lot of people these days are researching before they buy, and they're doing that research in the background. You don't know that they're looking at your business. You only find out they're looking at your business when they get in touch with you. But quite often they'll have done a lot of research in advance, and that's where the blog can really help. So it's good to look at examples of top business blogs to be inspired. But I'm always on the lookout for small business blogs, good small business blogs. That is to say, blogs that are written by small businesses, typically one-man, one-woman businesses who find the time and the inclination to blog and do it well. So if you know anybody like that, if you're blogging yourself, maybe you're here and you're already blogging, you're watching this video and you already blog, or you know of a business that blogs well, then please let me know. I'd love to be using small business examples as part of my training rather than a lot of the bigger businesses, which I'm typically used as examples, because they have the resources to create high quality blogs, which is why they tend to get used as examples. And I've got 4 examples here. They're not the only ones. There's plenty of others, but if you want to be inspired and encouraged, then look at these. I'll also be going through these 4 different sites as I go through this training session, just to explain some more features about blogging. So they are Copyblogger. Copyblogger, as the name implies, is all about writing, copy, and it's all about blogging, blogger. So that's where it's back, that's where its roots are. It's all about communicating through blogging and through writing. HubSpot. HubSpot are a provider of a digital marketing tool, and they really help to pioneer the concept of content marketing. Blogging is content marketing. What's content marketing? It's where you're publishing high quality information, content that people can then find online, and that helps to draw people to your business. And HubSpot have a system for this, and they really pioneered it over the last few years. Social Media Examiner, another organization that is all about social media, and they publish a blog every single day. They publish a blog post written by a different person, series of specialists, and that's how they've built their visibility and their credibility over the last 10 years or so. Every single day producing a high quality article or blog post by another specialist. And the last example is someone you may have heard of. He's a sort of well-known in the business marketing space, Seth Godin. And I just use him as an example because he comes at blogging from a slightly different perspective. So those are the 4 examples that I'll be talking through as I go through this session today. If you've got questions, then feel free to just ask me. There's only a couple of you here today. Hello, Sue. Good to see you. Or I can't actually see you, but to know that you're there, I'm assuming you're listening. Alternatively, you can ask questions in the chat. I have also got a guide to business blogging, and if you'd like me to send you the guide to business blogging after this workshop, can you just put a note in the comments, just say yes please or something, so I've got a note. I've got your email addresses already from Eventbrite, and I can email you my guide to business blogging, which I've just updated. So let's go through those 4 different websites that I talked about and just pick up some features of blogging, some tips for you. So let's start with Copyblogger. This is a screenshot from Copyblogger. And what I really want to pick up on here is things like the title. The title or the headline is really important to your blog posts. It's really important to be writing the title in a way that is going to connect with your reader. So using the word you in a title is powerful. So for example, do you make these 11 common grammar mistakes when you write? That's the title of their article. And of course, that immediately begs the question, oh, crumbs, am I making those 11 common grammar mistakes? So it encourages you to read it. So you could have they could have used a different title, like 11 common grammar mistakes we can help you fix. Well, that's all about them, really, by using the word we can help you fix your grammar mistakes. The content is exactly the same, but they've worded the title in a way that grabs your attention. Oh, am I making these common mistakes? So think about the title that you write for blog posts. Make it relevant to the reader. Other aspects of a blog post, it's good to use images. So Copyblogger, as an example here, they use a relevant image right at the top of the post. They also tend to put a little quote in there as well. It's always good to have an image near the top. It's good to have some images through the body of the post as well. Personally, I'm a big advocate of putting a date on the top of your blog post. So for example, this blog post is dated. It says it's March 2021. Now, I know some blogs I go to don't have dates. And why is a date important? Well, particularly when I'm working in the world of social media and digital marketing, and stuff gets out of date really quite quickly. So, 10 top tips for using Facebook for business. Well, those 10 top tips, 2010 version. So I want to know when that blog post was written. Some companies do have a bad habit of effectively redating their blog posts, but not updating the content. I came across one just the other day that was the latest version, was talking about how you could write headlines for various things, including Google+. Well, Google+ was retired like 3 or 4 years ago now, I think. So that immediately says to me, your article's a bit out of date, but they didn't have a date on the headline section of their blog. So I'm a big advocate. Put a date at the top of your blog so people know how current it is. Also helps you to know that maybe it's time I updated this post if it's a few years old and if it's a sort of content that is going to date. There is a concept in blogging or social media marketing generally of what's called evergreen content. Evergreen content is stuff that doesn't really date. It's always going to be valid. So, there are some, I don't know, I don't have a dog, but how to groom your dog. Well, presumably how to groom your dog, the fundamentals of dog grooming, I'm assuming haven't really changed that much year on year. I might be wrong. You might correct me on that. Hello, Dee. Welcome to, thank you for joining us. So hopefully I will put the recording for this on to YouTube later, so and let you know the link for that, so that you can catch up with any of it you missed, or rewatch it if it's useful to you. And also, Dee, I'm saying to people, I've got my latest guide to blogging for business, and if you want me to email that to you after that, just put yes in the comments, and I will get it to you. I'll probably be doing that, sending it out tomorrow, just so you know. But just let me know in the comments if you'd like a copy of that. So Copyblogger. So that's just an example of the top of a blog post and how it should look. Oh, some stats. We always love stats in marketing. How long does it take to write a blog post? The question, again, that's often come up in the training sessions that I run. And the figures I've taken from these stats are from the Orbit Media Annual Blogging Survey, the 2021 edition. And how long does it take to write a blog post? Answer: just over 4 hours. Now, of course, you could write a blog post in minutes. You can write a blog post in 3 or 4 hours. You can write a blog post in many more hours. About 1,000 or so people responded to the survey. And of course, there was a whole variety of times. But the average is about 4 hours. And the average has, apparently, from Orbit Media's stats, gone up over the last few years. So if you're writing a blog post, then you should expect, what I say to people is, if you're writing a good quality blog post and also you're putting it on your own website and you're finding some links to good quality references, material, and also you're linking it to your other content on your website, you ought to be cross-linking your content. Google likes that. And also finding, using some great images, then that process of writing and adding them stuff to the website could take about a day. So maybe you should be thinking about a day for your entire content, which raises other questions about how much time have you got to spend blogging. That's obviously for you as a business owner to decide. Okay, so I'm going through 4 different examples. The second example is Social Media Examiner. And what I've got here is a screenshot from part of one of their blog posts. And really what I want to highlight from this screenshot is the use of images in the body of the text. So this particular one is a how-to guide. How-to guides are really popular. People like to read a how-to guide. But if you're going to write a how-to guide on as a blog post, then recommend that you do use plenty of screenshots or something, something image oriented to make sure that people can follow it through. Not everybody is comfortable reading large blocks of text. In fact, you shouldn't be using large blocks of text. The best blogs, if you look at them, have a lot of white space, and typically they have a paragraph will be no more than 2 or 3 lines, because it's hard to read a block of text on the screen. So I would recommend, my own practice is to try and have no more than 3 or maximum 4 lines of text in a paragraph block, and then some white space, ideally broken up with headlines and images, because not everybody reads start to finish. In fact, most people won't read your blog start to finish. Some people are skimmers. They will your blog might catch their attention. They'll dip in, they'll jump from headline to headline, they look at lists of bullet points, and they'll skim the information to see whether it's relevant to them. Other people are what are called scanners. So they want an answer to a particular question. So your blog has caught their eye because they want an answer to something. And so they will, so for example, how long should the average blog post be? So they jump into the blog and they want to find the answer to that question. They don't really want to read all the fluff around it. So the scanners will be looking for particular facts or information, and that's where they will focus. Make those facts easy to find. That's, again, useful to break it up with headlines and bullet points and images to do that. And other people will read your blog post in a considerable level of detail. There may even be a few people who read every single word, but not very many of them. That's the reality of it. Of course, Google and the other search engines will also read every word on your blog post, and it will go into their algorithm when it comes to people doing a search. So that's why you're writing, the value of writing blog posts. It's for the readers, it's also for the search engines. Another stat: how long is a typical blog post? Well, when I started writing social media and blog posts about 12 years ago, the general advice was 300 words. 300 words is a good thing to go for from an SEO point of view, SEO, search engine optimization, helping your website to get found on search engines. Today, that number has gone up. And again, based upon the Orbit Media Annual Blogging Survey, the typical blog post is about 1,400 words, okay? So that's the sort of length. Does that mean that every blog post should be that length? No, the blog post, the right length for the blog post is the length you need to cover the subject. But if you're only putting out lots and lots of short blog posts, it's probably going to get less traffic and be less valued by the search engines than if you're putting out longer, more detailed blog posts. Of course, there are exceptions to that. And we have one of those just coming up, which is Seth Godin. I went through, I said earlier on, the list of 4 different blogs that I was referencing during this training session. And Seth Godin, well known in marketing and business circles as a sort of thought leader, somebody who helps people to understand how to use marketing and tools more effectively. And his blog, well, this is just one of his blog posts. And this is it. This is his entire blog post from June the 26th. I mean, it's not even 100 words. It breaks all the rules. It's very short. But he can get away with that for various reasons. Firstly, he writes really well, but also he's already got visibility and people already looking for his stuff and already reading his stuff. If you want to write a blog and you want to do it Seth Godin style and only have largely short pieces, and most of his are longer than this, but even his longer pieces, I sort of glanced at his blog recently, his longer pieces are no more than a few hundred words. They're certainly not getting 1,000 plus. But again, he's got that visibility. If you want to write and get in the same way as him, you may be successful, but I think remember, it's not just about the fact that he's writing this stuff. He's already got an audience of people before he even starts blogging. So how do bloggers get traffic to their posts? Oh, there's an S missing there. So how do bloggers get traffic to their posts? Again, this comes from the survey. There's different ways of getting traffic, but the top way that bloggers get traffic to their posts, that is people reading their blog posts, is through social media. So they're sharing links to their blog posts through social media, through Twitter, well, Instagram's harder because Instagram, you can't share links, but Twitter, particularly, Twitter's really powerful in the social media, in the small business space. And again, in the same way that blogging, I believe, is undervalued. So, oops, hit the keys there. So blogging is undervalued by small businesses. So too, I think Twitter is undervalued by a lot of small businesses, because there is a thriving network of small businesses on Twitter, and it's a great way to share content. I'm often on there sharing stuff and engaging with other people. It's called social media for a reason. It's not just about pumping stuff out for other people to read. So Instagram, to a certain extent, certainly Twitter, Facebook. Facebook's got its challenges. It can be hard to be found on Facebook as a small business. And LinkedIn is another good one as well. And of course, there are other places out there. There's a whole load of other places we can be sharing stuff. But 90% of bloggers say they get their traffic from social media. It's not saying that's the only place they get traffic. A lot of them also get traffic from email marketing and SEO, search engine optimization, being found by the search engines. But social media leads the way in terms of a source of visibility. I think the stats for SEO and email marketing are more like 60%. So 6 out of 10 bloggers say that email marketing and SEO help them get visibility. 9 out of 10 marketers and bloggers, say that social media helps them to get visibility. Where are we time-wise? Okay, just coming up 4:30. So going through 4 different blogs, I'm going to finish off with HubSpot. And HubSpot's, again, go look at HubSpot blogs as a good example of how to blog and how to present a blog. And what I particularly want to draw out from this post from HubSpot, we're down at the end of the post now, is have a call to action in your post. You might want to have more than one call to action. Don't have too many. What's a call to action? Well, it's asking people to do something, because somebody might turn up to your website, they've never heard of you, they read your blog post. What you don't want them to do is to say, well, that was interesting, and go away and do something else and forget entirely about you. If they consider you to be valuable, if they consider your material to be useful, you want to hold on to them in some way. You want to get their attention just a little bit more. You might want to sell to them. That may be relevant, but often it's not. Often it's not about selling. It's just about grabbing their attention a bit further, signing up to our mailing list. So, for example, what HubSpot are offering here is free Excel templates. There's 9 free marketing templates. Of course, when you click on the link and you try and download those templates, you will be asked to give them your email address. And there is the option to tick a box that says, yes, please send me more emails. So it's their way of getting hold of you, getting a bit more information, but it's an exchange of value. You're getting something that may be useful from them, email templates in this case. You're giving something that could be of value to them, which is your email. And you may be happy to sign up to their emails. I sign up to a lot of mailing lists. I also unsubscribed from a lot of mailing lists after a while, because I've decided that they're not actually useful to me. But there are some that are useful, and some that I've gone on to buy things from as a result of being on the mailing list. And email marketing is another part of your strategy that you really need to give serious consideration to. Again, a bit like blogging, a bit like Twitter, a lot of small businesses think email marketing has had its day with GDPR and all of that. The reality is that email marketing is still one of the most powerful, cost-effective ways of getting to people. Remember, marketing isn't about trying to persuade people to buy your stuff, even when they don't want it. Marketing is all about trying to connect with people who will be interested in your stuff at some point. Always better to have a happy customer, somebody who wants your stuff and seeks you out, ideally because they've already heard of you, rather than somebody who's a sort of disgruntled customer who buys from you because you've persuaded them to, but they're not really sure about it. And of course, going back to the HubSpot post, they've also got a little note at the bottom there. Don't forget to share this post, and they've got these social media links to encourage you to do that. I don't know. I don't see that many people, to be honest, sharing other people's posts on social media. I don't do it myself particularly, but what I will do is if somebody shares a good quality post of their own on social media, then I may well reshare that if I think there's value in that. So there's still a place for the sharing on social media. So that's the example from HubSpot. And another statistic, a last statistic from Orbit Media: how frequently are blogs published? How often should I blog is another question that often comes up when I'm doing training sessions like this. Well, anything is better than nothing. If you can only blog once a month, and let's just say you've got no blogs right now, then by the end of a year, you'll have 12 blog posts. Again, that's better than nothing. But the stats are, and there's plenty more stats from Orbit Media's blogging survey. Google it if you want to get more stats. But certainly one of the relationships they found is that businesses that blog more often and or bloggers that blog more often and or bloggers that blog longer form, so 2,000 words onwards. I hit the key there by mistake again. Bloggers who blog more often get better results, and bloggers who blog for longer form, so 2,000 words plus, tend to get better results. And the average for blogging is around once per week in terms of blog posts. Now, I know a lot of small businesses, when I say I recommend that you blog once a week or at least twice a month, well, I haven't got time for that. How am I going to find time, particularly if it's 4 hours to write a blog post and then more time to get it on the website? Well, it's a choice. You choose what's important to you for your business. Some people love writing. Some people really struggle with writing. There is a place in paying other people to write blog posts for you. I write blog posts on behalf of other people and have done for years, and lots of other writers do. So another option is to actually get somebody else to do blogging for you, or to have a mix of that. Let's say it's a strategic choice. In terms of planning your marketing, am I going to use blogging as part of my strategy? And if so, how often am I going to blog? There's no rights and wrongs, but there is a relationship between frequency and length and the results that you get from that. Obviously, the quality of the blog posts makes a difference as well. So some thoughts here about how to blog. And remember, if you've got any questions, you're welcome just to jump in and ask them in the comments, or ask them in the just out loud. It's fine. So some thoughts around blogging, how to blog. Know what you want. So again, this comes back to the strategic point that I talked about. Why are you blogging in the first place? Don't just do blogging because it's a good idea. What do you want from it? Are you looking to add to your mailing list? Are you looking just to build credibility and become more known and trusted in your industry or in your local area? If you have some sense of why you're blogging, then that will help you to measure the success of your blogging. So you start blogging, you want to get more visible in your industry, you share stuff on LinkedIn or Twitter or whatever, and then people start talking to you about, oh, you're an expert, can you have a comment on this? And that tells you your blogging is working. My wife, I'll use my wife as an example here. She started blogging, she started writing a history blog 10 years ago, primarily to sort of promote selling of novels. It's working to a certain regard of that, but what it certainly has done is built her visibility as an expert in her chosen period of history. Over the last 10 years, she's had several interviews on the BBC, on local radio and local television. She's been, we've had a South Korean TV crew come to Weymouth not once but twice to interview her. She's had numerous other opportunities. So she's developed visibility as somebody who is a specialist in her area. And that has all come from publishing blog posts, high quality blog posts on a consistent basis over the last 10 years. That can work, and I have seen that work for other people in other businesses as well. So know what you want. Know what they want. What is it that your potential customers, your future customers, what is it that they want to know? Again, talked about this earlier on, about using the word you in your blog posts. Address your customers, address where they are at. It's very easy when you're blogging to blog for yourself. Don't do that. Blog for them. If you're not sure what your customers want, ask them. A great source of content for blog posts is, in fact, someone was just telling me this the other day. I interviewed a business owner just the other day. She and her partner set up a business about 4 or 5 years ago, and they're quite active in blogging. And she said, a lot of my blog posts are based upon the questions that my customers ask me. So the customers ask questions, that feeds into, actually, I can turn the answer into a blog post. So not only does it feed more material onto the website, it also means that next time a customer asks that question, she doesn't have to spend so long answering, because she can say, well, here's a quick answer, but if you want more detail, here's a blog post that tells you, and sends them to their website. Have a plan. I recommend that you have a plan when it comes to blogging. Think in advance, okay, this month I'm going to blog about this, this, and this. So I mix it up. In a minute, I'll talk through some of the different types of blog posts you can you can create. Have a plan for how you're going to do it, rather than just sitting down at your computer one day and thinking, what am I going to blog about today? Better than nothing, but it's not always going to get, it's not going to get great results for you. And also blog around various different subjects. So again, search engines love blogs because it helps them to know who you are, what it is that you do. So if you're let's go with the dog grooming business, for example. Let's say I don't have a dog, I don't know anything about dog grooming, so I'm making this up to a certain extent. But you could put a whole random series of blog posts out there about different aspects of dog grooming. But perhaps maybe there's better to focus and have 3 or 4 blog posts around a particular aspect of grooming. I don't know, a particular breed of dog, or in a particular locality, or something like that. And that, what that will do is that will say to the search engines, Google and the others, that will say, oh, this person really knows about this subject area, rather than a rather scattergun approach of various different stuff, which is more loosely connected. Be committed. It's really important, if you're going to blog for your business and see success, to be committed. That's a hard one, I know. So, well, I'm going to, you might start out with the intention, I'm going to blog, and I'm going to blog every week for the next, and then 2 weeks later, you've forgotten, and then 3 months later, what happened to my blogging strategy and my blogging plan? I wasn't committed. Yeah, we all struggle for that as small business owners. I do too. But it's just my encouragement to you. If you're going to blog for your business, be committed to it. Make the time. Put the time in your diary. Other things will get themselves into your diary because they happen. Put time into your diary. So I'm going to spend this day, or this half day, or even just these couple of hours on blogging, on putting a strategy together, on actually creating something. Be committed and keep going. Keep at it. Give it time. Start right at the start. Blogging is a long-term strategy. It's not going to get you quick wins. It's about helping building that visibility and that credibility that will be there for years. And if you want your business to have that on an increasing basis for years into the future, then I highly recommend blogging. I mean, I know someone who's created a new business recently, but the reality is that she's only wants to be in business for a couple of years and then she retires. So blogging for her, I wouldn't recommend it, unless she wants to keep going after sort of when she's retired, but she's pretty much made it clear she's not. So I wouldn't recommend blogging for her as a strategy, because it's not got the same value. It hasn't got that long-term aspect of what she's doing. Different types of blog posts, just some thoughts around this as we get towards the end. So again, we talked about a whole variety of things about blogging, and different ideas for the sorts of posts that you can be put out. So popular posts are things like a listicle. What's a listicle? 10 ways to do this. 5 reasons why you should do that. 7 benefits of this particular thing. People love listicles. It also makes it easy to break up the post into small bite-sized chunks as well. You can write little paragraphs about this, and the other. So people like listicles. How-tos. I had an example of a how-to earlier on with Social Media Examiner. People love how-to posts because people are going to Google and they're searching for how-tos, aren't they? People are searching for, how do I do this? Yeah, how do I buy a cheap Christmas tree? How do I, these are sort of topical stuff at the moment. How do I buy an environmentally friendly Christmas tree? How do I recycle my Christmas tree? All of those sorts of things. Well, if your business is Christmas trees, then I would be recommending that you write blog posts around those. Or maybe your business isn't about Christmas trees, but your business is around environmental products or something else where there's a connection between what people are searching for. Because if someone's searching around how to recycle my Christmas tree, that suggests that they've got an environmental focus and that they're keen to do the right thing for the environment. Well, if you're in a business which is aligned with that and your typical customer is going to be thinking that way, then maybe that blog post will be relevant, even though your business actually isn't in Christmas trees at all. So don't always come at it from exactly what it is that your customer does in relation to your business. Come at it from a point of view of what your customer, your future customer, is going to be interested in, what's going to get their attention. Tell a story. It's another great way to fill a blog post, is to tell a story. Interview somebody. Find somebody who's running a slightly larger business. Find somebody who's a bit of an influencer in your industry or in your local area. interview them, or just interview somebody who's interesting, interview a customer, interview a supplier. It's a great way of creating content that can be useful. Reviews on comparisons, again, that's a great way of creating content. Reviewing systems and products and whatever that's relevant to you, or comparing things. So how does this product compare with that? How does this solution compare with that? How does this way of doing something compare with that? Again, that can be a useful source of material for a blog post. Have an opinion, be opinionated. Now, sometimes when I say be opinionated in training sessions, some people go, oh, I couldn't possibly be opinionated. I couldn't possibly have an opinion. I don't want to be divisive. I don't want to upset people. Well, having an opinion doesn't necessarily mean being divisive or upsetting people. Having an opinion is, I think this way of doing something's better. So I'm expressing an opinion myself. I'm saying that I think small businesses undervalue blogging. That is my opinion. I am sure that there is somebody out there who disagrees with me. I'm sure there's somebody out there who say, no, I think businesses should be doing this rather than blogging. And that's absolutely fine. If you express an opinion, someone's probably going to disagree with you, but that's not the issue really. Better to be, if you want to be known as credible and trustworthy, then really you have to have opinions. So I recommend you to have opinions about things. It's not aiming to be divisive. You know, some people make a trade on being divisive, and I wouldn't recommend that at all. And my last suggestion for blog content is to do some original research. Now, you've already seen some original research as we went through this session. I talked earlier on about, I gave you some stats from Orbit Media's blogging survey. Well, what Orbit Media have done is the guy who runs it basically sent out a survey to loads of his contacts. He had about 1,000 people or so responding to it. And he's done it for the last few years. And he then collates all of that material, and then he creates a long article, a blog post, which goes through in detail the results of the survey. He's done it year on year. He's got a large number of people doing it, 1,000 or plus. It's become a source of material that other people link to and other people talk about. I'm talking about Orbit Media's survey. So that is just one example of someone doing original research. Now, it doesn't need to be large scale. Original research could just be going to a few customers and talking to them and saying, getting their opinion, and then turning that into an article and then saying, this is what these people think. I read an article just the other day about how different businesses in the care sector are using social media, and it wasn't a thorough analysis. It was basically, we've done 4 short interviews with 4 different businesses, and this is what they tell us that they're doing. But it was original research, so it was giving people insights into how a particular industry was using social media. So again, there's lots of different ways of tackling original research, but people like original research because it's original. Nobody else has done what you have done. You could write 10 ways to do this or 10 ways to do that, a listicle, but quite possibly somebody else has already written something similar. But if you're doing original research, then by definition, it's original. So nobody else has done quite the same thing as you. So there we are. Those are my suggestions for different types of blog posts. So I've been through in this session, giving you some pointers and some thoughts really about blogging for business. I hope it's been useful to you. I hope it's inspired you. I hope it's encouraged you to think about how your business can use blogging. Oh, there's one more page. Sorry, I've forgotten about this. This is just some thoughts about getting started. And it's just a suggestion about where you want to blog. So first thing, my suggestion is start writing, start blogging. Start writing something down, that always helps. Where do you publish it? You can publish it on your website, places like Wix, WordPress, Blogger. There's different sites that you can use for publishing your blog. But as I said right at the start, really the best place to start to publish material is on your own website.